in the park where I'm parked now in the shade. A lot of people are bringing their dogs, and I wish that was me. I wish I had a dog friend. They make very good friends, and so do I, so the dog would be quite happy. But it's not something I can do right now. Maybe never. The reason is that I can't give a dog a good home in this little motorhome. I could if it's a small dog and I have a regular routine with income and a life that I know is a good fit for me without selling my human rights away, my humanity away, without being a victim, just for the sake of maintaining a few things I like. I have to have a place that is steady and regular. But when I woke up this morning, I had an experience that I believe is to be explained in this particular way. Today is July 23rd, 2022. It's past 8 a.m. And right before I woke up, I heard a little boy's voice say, "No! No!" Like, no, don't act like this. Don't do this. And I think that voice was me from deep down, from since I was a kid, just belonging to this species that I share DNA with, because I've written before that I've known at a young age that something was wrong with other kids my age and adults, who weren't acting like responsible adults and who weren't doing the right thing when it was obvious to me as a kid that's the right thing to do, that's the wrong thing to do. Don't act like this. Don't hurt your own kids. Don't hurt me. Don't hurt society. Don't hurt your culture. Don't hurt your own selves, your own brains. I think that little voice is always there because it's never changed. It's only gotten worse. Since I was a kid, I realized this is not right, the way people act. And it's not getting better. And I guess nobody's ever. I mean, you might read a book sometimes, fiction, maybe nonfiction, where somebody's saying our species must stop certain things. Otherwise, we're not human or we're heading down the wrong path or whatnot. But the thing is that I've never heard, like, if I heard a politician talk like this, or somebody at the UN, or a millionaire with followers, if I heard them connected to reality in this way, oh my God, that would heal that little boy that's still down there and who probably keeps yelling, "No, don't act like this. I share DNA with you. This planet is heaven. Don't act like this." I was watching a video on YouTube about from the Economist, it's called, and they're talking about food insecurity in different parts of the world and how it's interconnected. And this was July 19th, okay, just a few days ago. Still to this day, we do not realize that most things we talk about should include reducing our population. We keep showing videos of kids starving, of bad behaviors from kids and adults and seniors, and it's not changing. So of course that little voice is still inside me since I was a kid. Don't act like this. You're going to ruin everything. And yet you do. As a species, you do. As a species, I share DNA with. Do you know how amazing it is for me to have come up with this theory on HSD that nobody cares about? And do you know how impossible it would be for me to enter a PhD program that would allow me to finalize that theory by collecting data about how it's having a physiological negative impact on us, not just a measurable behavioral one? Well, not with your species. So I'd have to work and do a PhD with an extraterrestrial species or something, because you guys don't look yourselves in the mirror. You guys don't want to admit that there is much work to be done, and now just for the sake of mitigation. So why is everybody talking about, oh, this needs to be done for food insecurity, this needs to be done for climate change, this needs to be done to end wars? And nobody's talking about what's wrong up here, and nobody's talking about the most immediate and best result is reducing birth rate. And by the way, when I say this, you guys are not smart enough to know that it does not mean your kid is dying or is dead. It means a kid that was never brought into this world is not brought into this world, but that kid does not exist. So when I say this, there's no suffering because the creation of that kid never happened. And yet you guys care more about a kid that's not created, it's never been fertilized, than the kids that are dying now that you can see on TV, that you can see in your neighborhoods, that are with the homeless people that you don't care about. So there is something seriously wrong with you guys. So when I know all these things, and I love the biosphere, I'm sorry, but I don't fantasize that an asteroid falls on Earth to end this misery or end your species, because that would hurt the biosphere. I fantasize that the biosphere has cybernetic systems that include other species that know that ours is harmful. And it's not necessarily consciously that this is done, but that there are specific viruses and illnesses that are pointed towards us as a species as quickly as possible. And it should have been already started, this process, and it may have been before I was born, because before I was born, your tipping points to solve what you still won't admit is wrong up here have all been passed. It's sad that your species has to go, the one I share DNA with, but it has to go because this biosphere is amazing, and you guys are amazingly insane at ruining it. Yeah, so these viruses, I mean, they might come at different intensities of mortality, and they should, right? It can't just be everybody dies in 24 hours, because that would also be devastating to the planet, because eventually nuclear power plants go, more fires from things crashing without you guys more or less maintaining it, although you're becoming worse and worse at maintaining your own counter-terraforming technology, really is what it is. You evolved on this planet, so whether you believe in a god or evolution, either way, it doesn't make sense, your behavior. You evolved on this planet. It's been pretty much perfect for land mammals in the last 70,000 years, in a way that may not ever be possible in other parts of our galaxy, maybe. I don't know about elsewhere, but... And then you guys are actively ruining it. And you keep saying, as you ruin it, oh, others need to be a little bit more like this. Now, even if your wish for others to change became a miracle that happened, do you know that that's still not enough? Your wish is so dumb that you place on others instead of your own responsibility, that it still doesn't include everything else you're not aware of that your species has already done before I was born that can't be fixed now. It can only be mitigated. So even if your wishes come true through some magical godlike entity, it's still not the right thing, because you're not aware enough of the reality of the instability of your world because of your species. That's what it feels like for me to suffer from species alienation. That means totally disconnected since a young age from my own species. And the fact that I can explain this, that I've created a theory, that I've cured myself, that I'll never have the mental illness that you will continue to get worse about ever again in my life, in part because of that theory, is I still see that your suffering from HSD is going to get worse, which means that I'm never really going to be able to connect with 99.9% of you at a human standard level. So that's fine. That's fine if you weren't here and I could interact with other land mammals or the 0.1% if they exist. And this biosphere would be great, but unfortunately I don't believe in these kind of miracles myself because scientific mind, I only believe that I have to keep working on my human thinking tools for the sake of waiting to grow old and die or get a terminal diagnosis or events happen that change everything. There are a few scenarios where they would change everything and that I might be appreciated, but I mean, those things are incredible long shots that don't seem likely to happen. So you might think, my God, Martin, this is so despair related. Yes, it is. And here's my attitude, okay? And I'm still healthier than you in pretty much every way, the average you, and the average way to determine health. And yet I can handle this reality. And yet, again, this is something else that you do not want to partake in conversations about, to know how can Martin be that connected to the reality of things that we will always say he's an idiot to think these things as they manifest around us at the same time, and yet never ask him how he got to this point. So again, one of these scenarios where I might be appreciated in the future is my connection to reality and how the leadership skills I will have will come easily to me compared to your growing automaton and dysfunctional brains.